Okay, so I just landed back in San Francisco and watched that Dolphins-Chiefs game on the flight, and I have to say that Tua's problem is that he's not Brock Purdy. There's some ridiculous takes online saying that Tua Tagovailoa and Brock Purdy are similar quarterbacks. They couldn't be any more different. Brock Purdy's actually aggressive with the way he throws downfield, and guess what the biggest difference is? Brock Purdy can actually move. He's mobile. Tua Tagovailoa does not have good mobility. These are two very different types of quarterbacks, and they deliver two very different types of results, especially in these big games. The Dolphins, I mean, we've seen it so many times before. It seems like every single season in NFL history, there's an offense that blows everybody's socks off in September when it doesn't matter, when the weather is good, when teams are much more likely to quit, when the bad teams are still playing. Everybody, fans, media alike, not everybody, but most everybody crowns that team prematurely, and then that team runs into either bad weather or just better teams later in the season, in the postseason, and everything comes crashing down. That was this season's Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are not a balanced football team. They had too many injuries defensively to be a balanced football team, and they're a finesse team offensively. What happened to the Dolphins today was what people thought would happen to the 1988 49ers when they went into negative 26-degree weather in Chicago at Soldier Field for the NFC Championship game. But the 49ers showed the world then that they were not a finesse team. They had a lot more to them. The Dolphins don't have more to them. At least this iteration of the Dolphins doesn't, because without their defenders, with all those injuries there, they needed Tua to be something more. And Tua isn't something more. Tua's not Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is something more. We know this, right? Brock Purdy had a historically good season. He was already good in the playoffs last year. Speaking of that, we saw C.J. Stroud with the Texans today. Very, very similar outing for C.J. Stroud as Brock Purdy's wild card game against the Seattle Seahawks last season. The only rookies to throw 3 touchdown passes in their first career playoff start. Purdy would have had 4 had Ayuk not dropped the crazy Houdini act play from Brock Purdy last year. So look out for CJ Stroud. We're going to see him play either Kansas City next week, or we're going to see Kansas City play the Buffalo Bills, depending on what happens. So I'm signing up for Stroud Mahomes or Stroud Josh Allen. Both of those matchups are a really good one. And speaking of the Chiefs, these guys, I mean, I think they're contenders again. The Chiefs have rebuilt their team in a way that might be more sustainable toward winning titles. They have the number 7 defense and the number 8 offense. It's the first time ever that the Chiefs have been a defense-driven football team. The defense is ranked higher than the offense, and I think all those drops that their wide receivers had earlier in the season, those have encouraged the Chiefs to really double down on the run game with Isaiah Pacheco. So strong run game, strong defense. Mahomes just needs to manage the game. Maybe being a game manager isn't a bad thing. A lot of people acting like managing the game in a sport where the quarterback is the primary entity that organizes everything in, a collection of players trying to pull different assignments. People acting like managing is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. That's what Patrick Mahomes has to do. That's what Brock Purdy has to do. That's what CJ Stroud has to do. The quarterback that ends up managing his assortment of talent best is the one that's going to be ending up holding the Lombardi Trophy at the end of this ride. So, fun night in the playoffs. 49ers have an elite quarterback. The Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa certainly don't. The Chiefs, well, they got an elite guy too. We already knew that, though, with Patrick Mahomes. He's elite even when he has to manage, because that's the job of any NFL quarterback. We'll talk to you soon. Tomorrow, the NFC bracket gets going, and maybe we'll know tomorrow who the 49ers are playing here in the Bay Area next week.